at least as far as free agency is concerned, and that is the Commanders. I mean, the draft is 1 month from today. Set your calendars, people. And free agency did answer some big questions, but there's plenty of things lingering as we get closer and closer to Goodell taking that stage in Detroit. While we've talked about a lot what the Bears are doing at number 1, I think the team that sort of holds the key to the entire draft is sitting right behind them at 2, and it is those Commanders. Dan Quinn only made Washington's situation a little more interesting with what he said to aforementioned Tom Pelissero at the annual league meeting this weekend. Quinn said, I would say it'd be fair to envision we'd be taking a quarterback. To say where it'll be happening, I think that's a better question for GM Adam Peters. Interesting. Really all around. It was pretty much a given that they'd be taking a quarterback, especially after trading away Sam Howell. But the who, which one, we don't know. Will it be Jaden Daniels? Will it be Drake May, who Gerard Mayo was speaking highly about? DQ has fueled speculation of a potential trade by bringing the sort of where into that quote, right? He went on to say that the phone's been ringing and the team's been doing their due diligence. What does that mean? First, let's take a look at who might be making some of those incoming calls to Washington. The Patriots, like I said, they're sitting one spot back of the Commanders. We've seen teams trade up one spot before, and they're the real wild card in this thing because we're like, oh, the Patriots would never. We don't know who the Patriots team is. This is a Caserio-less, Bill Belichick-less squad. They're going to go rogue. We don't know who they are, what they're made of, what their fabric is, what's leading the compass or steering it whichever way. So that'll be super intriguing because they might have to move up to make sure they get their guy. The Bears did it, of course, to get Trubisky. You've seen it before. There's the Giants at 6. They can't move on from Daniel Jones until after this year. How aggressive do they get? Vikings, obvious candidate. They've got picks 11 and 23. The Broncos and Raiders both need a quarterback for their future as well. And if they're not getting a quarterback, do teams like the Broncos flip it and reverse it, Missy Elliott style, and go back and trade back because they need so many picks to get as many good players as they can, as many shots at the thing as possible. And if you're Adam Peters, Commanders GM, and you decide you like more than one of these quarterbacks and you can get clearly an absolute haul from somebody on that list, you have to at least think about a potential deal. You're answering that phone call. And there's another scenario that we thought of here too. Everyone thinks that where that Dale Quinn brought up was in reference to them trading back. What if they trade up? Have we thought about that? What if they're like, yeah, all you idiots trying to downplay the greatness that is and the consistency that is Caleb Williams, we want him. Hear me out. Let's say the Bears view Caleb and Jaden Daniels or Drake May as virtually even. Why wouldn't you give the Commanders a chance to make you an offer? And if I'm Washington and I love Caleb Williams, I found the love of my life here, and my new OC Cliff Kingsbury, who was with him at USC last year, who clearly is very convincing. He keeps getting himself into big positions and making decisions in these situations. If Cliff feels confident in him, and I want to build this new era around a superstar from DC that fans will embrace, Deshaun Jackson gave it his cosign here on our very program. I would be doing everything I can to try to get Ryan Poles to listen. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't think it's impossible, and that quote doesn't steer me out and away from that direction. What do you guys think? Add Up and Adam Show. All right, let's talk about the Cardinals here, okay? Random, right? We're going to talk about the Cardinals random? Yes. Hamilton hits me up yesterday, and he's like, what do you want to talk about tomorrow? What should we talk about? We did think about the Patriots, and we're going to get to them at some point, of course. There's some interesting things happening, and you got to look at the teams that are sort of in good spot to cause some chaos or add some goodness to their teams, or at least mess things up for everybody else. And the Cardinals are sitting there in the top 5. They're like what are they in the NFC this year, right? That's what are you? How disrupting are you going to be? The answer is you could be very disrupting and not discussed, which I love. Go in there under the radar. This group played their asses off for Jonathan Gannon in his first season. They like playing for him. They beat playoff teams. They beat the Steelers. They beat the Eagles. They beat the Cowboys. Those are playoff teams, of course, okay? And they went down to the wire with the likes of the real tough teams, like the Ravens and Texans, too. Kyler Murray, he's coming into the offseason. he's healthy for the first time in a couple of years. That has to matter, right? I feel like a lot of people gave up on Kyler after the whole independent study thing in his contract, which never should have gotten out. It's all very messy and ugly. And his injury, they wrote him off. And the fact that, like, he deserves to be written off a little bit because he hasn't played up to his potential. I'll agree with that. Like, as far as the court of public opinion, like, you're that talented, you can't play up to that, that's upsetting, and you're going to lose some people there. And I think that that's fair until you win them back and show what you can do, which we all know you can do. Can you play to that potential? And I think it was kind of glossed over that we did see at certain moments growth out of him last year because the cards were out of it by the time he came back from injury. Buda Baker joined us recently, just within the last couple of weeks, and he had sort of outstanding, sort of, I earmarked it in my head as far as what his optimism is and his belief in his quarterback. Listen.
He's definitely, night and day from his rookie year till now, always a better player, a guy who you can talk to, any of the players can talk to when it comes to practice squad or, the best players on the team. He's around us, he jokes and, we crack jokes and we talk, and he's a great leader. So definitely excited for him to continue to grow and continue to, get better and lead this organization.
Leader, excuse me. I thought the narrative surrounding Kyler was that he's not so much a leader, that he isn't growing, that he continued to grow, underline, highlight, circle, put that in your notes. Like, okay, if I'm part of this squad, I'm excited about that. Jonathan Gannon in the front office, they've made it very clear Kyler is their guy. And beyond even the growth that Buda was talking about just there were signs of it on the field, which we should highlight here. Take a look at this, guys. I don't know what's going on here. Hello. Wake up back there. The Cardinals had the #1 ranked total offense over the final month of the season. They did against 3 teams with winning records over that stretch, too. Kyler really had this thing working once he got acclimated to playing again after the injury. And while Arizona hasn't done a ton so far this offseason, they add Jonah Williams. If they can snag a Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors at 4 overall, and another piece, what do they pick, 27? With that pick from the Texans. Listen, they're all of a sudden off to a pretty fun start offensively. And I don't know if they'll be playoff good this year, but it's moving in the right direction. Continue. I like what Buda said there. Buda is back there. And Buda was so, even just that, Buda was so disgruntled. And let's trade. And and then something happened, belief in Jonathan Gannon clearly. And he likes his quarterback and the situation, the money. Even just to get over that with all, and there's all this like bidwill stuff going on. There's all this like, they get it together and they're okay. And I think that's great. And he's still, by the way, Kyler, just 26 years old. So have we seen the best of Kyler? Probably not. We forget that out of all the quarterbacks that we have questions about, as far as ceiling, maybe, I don't know, Hamilton, you can come in here. Who has a higher ceiling of the quarterbacks that we question? I would say his ceiling is higher than Dak's. I would say his ceiling as far as the talent is on par with, I don't know if I can put him in the Justin Herbert vibe, but as far as like what we expect from what we know he can do, and his ceiling is definitely higher than a lot of the quarterbacks that we have questions about.
Yeah, you're right. Physically, with the type of throws he's able to make, with his mobility, I mean, we've seen him at his absolute best be maybe the most exciting quarterback to watch in this entire league. It's all come down to some of the things he talked about. Is he putting in the work in the film room? Is he the leader? Those are the questions that have lingered, but the ability has never been a question. If he's doing those things from a mental standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, to match with the physical ability.
Sounds like he is.
Yeah. I mean, the ceiling is astronomical for him. I mean, he can, we could see him win I still think we could see him win an MVP one day if all those things really do come together.
I've like fallen for the trap before. We'll take a break. We've got Kyle Rudolph on the other side. I have fallen for the trap before. We can go to break. We can talk here in a second. All right. Everybody's waking up this morning.